Here's to you, dear listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Metal Gear Monday's Revengeance, where you'll find some of your favorite conversations about Metal Gear and Kojima-related content delivered to you through tactical podcast action. I'm your host, Warren Minix, and with me, as always, is our expert in infiltration, Miss Tori Cortez. How we doing?
Oh, I'm just crawling through the air vents.
Oh, that's actually pretty good. And
Thanks.
As far as sneakiness is concerned, we have our stealth operations expert, Mr. Chris Hampton. How you doing, man?
Just Shotgun Willie over here. Blazing a trail, stealthily, I guess.
Naked Snake at his finest. We've only known him as such. So if everyone has been keeping track, we are doing a character-focused episode this week. We are going to be dealing with the Baddies and the Daddies. So we're going to be talking about the Cobra Unit. We'll dabble a little bit into the boss again, but we've had an entire episode dedicated to her because she demands it. But we're also going to talk about some Volgin, get some other people in there. Outside of that, before we really get started, Chris, do you have anything you want to get off your chest at the top of this episode?
I got another confession to make.
Oh, God. I got to confess.
Go ahead. Let's see. What do I have to get off my chest? I would say third time's the charm.
If there ever was a charm, it was the third time, is what I will say.
That third time.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody has been keeping up with our episodes, if that makes any sense to you, pour a beer out for us, because we're going to be doing this again for y'all.
Or a whiskey.
Oh, yeah, whiskey would be nice.
Really, any
Little subtle
booze
one.
would be appreciated right now.
Would be also appropriate. No one would be looked down upon at all. Yeah, you know what, I'm going to have one. Tori, while I have my sip, would you like to do our mystery patron a shout out?
I would love to. Is everyone
Again,
getting tired of this ASMR business? Because I can stop.
MGMR ASMR with Tori Cortez.
Just let me make it rain here for a second.
Listen to that. While you hear that beautiful, subtle ASMR, again, guys, you can join our Patreon for just $1 a month to get into the Discord, as well as something like being randomly shouted out on an episode. Patreon.com/MetalGear.
Yes, just like this week's patron, John Johnson.
John Johnson, the man, the myth, the legend.
The legend.
Now, is that his name? John Johnson?
That's how it appears in Patreon.
Beautiful.
John Johnson has been a patron since November of 2019, it looks like.
Ooh, his birthday's coming up. His Patreon birthday.
His Patreon birthday?
Celebrate.
I was going to say, Warren, how could you possibly know when his birthday's coming?
Oh, I have no clue. With a name like John Johnson, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get that sort of accurate information.
Oh no, Warren's like an oracle,
Wait, do you think his name is really Jack, though?
Ooh. I like that.
I don't know.
Jack Jackson?
Jack
John,
J,
son of John.
Jamin. Yes. That's interesting. John, chime in on the Patreon, man. I don't know if I'm familiar with someone with that name, so maybe you're under, some sort of screen name, some pen name, pseudonym.
Mm.
Yeah, John hit us up.
That would be... Yeah, dude. But either way, shout out to John Johnson. You're the man. Almost on a year. I promise that we are using the funds to give you extra content and quality broadcasting.
There's some shit coming up and you don't even know. So
You don't even know, John.
don't even know about it. Get out of here.
And
with
others. Thank you so much for your patronage,
We don't
John.
even know about it. Yeah, John's the best. And before we get started, I do want to shout out that we will be doing a listener episode at the end of Metal Gear Solid 3, which is coming up. But every season we like to end with a listener response episode. Now, what's nice is we're going to be doing a few things, as you may have heard that we are going to be doing a spooky episode as far as a video game, which is Oxenfree. We're going to do a spooky release of John Carpenter's Thing, as well as a surprise as well added in. These will be extra episodes dropped in the month of October. You can chime in on any of the content we release between you listening to this and October 31st of 2020 to send in a listener response, and we'll do our best to cater everything and make it all make sense. So to make it easy for us, send it to contact@metalgearmondays.com with a little bit of detail in the subject line. Makes it a lot easier to cater it all where we need it, so that way we can get as much of the responses together on the episode, which would be fantastic. Before we get started, y'all,
Yeah.
you guys ready, or what are you thinking?
I feel way past ready to have this episode fully recorded and on its way.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's
Yeah, Chris. Yeah, what do you got?
let's do it. I've got my jokes written down.
Yes,
Hey.
Chris and his famous jokes. So I'm going to start off. Let's just talk about the Cobra unit as a unit, just to start us off here. So in 1942, the Cobra Unit was officially formed and led by the boss, who at the time was known as the Joy. During the Battle of Stalingrad, the Cobra Unit consisted of soldiers trained to win the war with superhuman abilities, and we know at least 2 of them had what they call parasite therapy, which we'll get into how they tie into future games. The members were the Pain, the Fear, the End, the Fury, and the Sorrow, obviously including the boss, who is the Joy. Because of each member's unit being extremely loyal to the boss, to the extent that they literally only obey her orders, under her command, they are sometimes known as the Sons of the Boss. Now, the one thing I'll throw in here as well is the last thing that's very interesting about it is that the Cobra Unit themselves were really not around for very long. And we learn through MGS3 and some sleuthing that the boss sort of went back to her ways to, I guess, come up with whatever her plan is. And when she finally defects, quote unquote, with her plan, they sort of come back as the Sons of the Boss, which is interesting to say the least, but they were there on the legendary D-Day where Boss had birth to her son and the Sorrow son as well, which we'll get into Ghost Dad.
It's just I gotta say, from a literary perspective here, having a woman give birth on D-Day at Normandy is just why? Why would you do that? What purpose is it serving? Good Lord, that sounds like something from like a pulp novel in the fucking 60s.
Well,
Maybe
yeah, I think that's...
Yeah, I was going to say, we learned she was also distracted by her pregnancy.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
What bullshit that is.
We already know that a lot of the maybe some of the more bizarre things that occur in Metal Gear Solid, we have decided, I think, that it's more fan service to pieces of pop culture that Kojima was himself a fan of, right? Rather than trying to explain why this makes sense to the series, it might be better to just throw our hands up and say, nanomachines.
Yeah.
Or no, parasites, I think.
Parasite
therapy.
Nanomachines
is in the 90s. We'll get to the 90s. So I will say, though, I'd pay money to see a recreation of the Battle of Normandy, D-Day, but with the Cobra Unit there, like doing their thing to like fuck up the shores. Like that would be pretty cool to see that. I don't need to see the birth of our baby boy Ocelot. That's not something I'd pay money to see, but it would be pretty dope to see like the Pain or the Fear like using their shit on the beaches of Normandy. That would be pretty fucking dope.
I'll tell you what we will get, Warren, now that you've put that out in the world, is that Konami is going to make a Metal Gear game and it'll be a prequel and you play as the Cobra Unit, but it's going to be made by what's that company? Koei? The Dynasty Warriors. So it'll be a Dynasty Warriors game.
Oh, of course it will be.
You know, imagine the boss like running around Naruto style in the battlefield and like
just 9 months pregnant. Naruto running.
And like the Chinese characters appear on the screen and then like there's an explosion.
Oh.
That's what we
Now
get.
I would say though, some of the henchmanier guys that we talk about, it'd be pretty dope to do a Dynasty Warriors game if you had like the Pain's abilities.
Oh,
it'd be pretty fucking
bees.
dope. Now that I think about it, yeah, Pain. You just shout that at everybody. Oh, that'd be amazing. So we're just gonna go. I'm going in order as we meet them on the battlefield, as far as boss fights. So we're gonna start with the Pain, if that's okay with you two. So I made it a point. I've curated. I have the OG released Metal Gear Solid 3 strategy guide from the initial release. I am that nerd that keeps these books, and it's actually in surprisingly decent condition, knowing my habits. But what I have here is the Pain. Cobra Unit Hornet Soldier the Pain was a master bee tamer and hornet specialist supposedly capable of commanding entire swarms of stinging hornets to do his bidding and attack his enemies. A former comrade to the boss, the Pain was one of several fearsome Cobra Unit commandos involved in the events of Operation Snake Eater. The Pain ostensibly developed his rare gift by allowing thousands of hornets to sting him for months at a time until the Hive came to believe that he was in fact another hornet himself. His intense willingness to suffer pain for his art enticed the boss to recruit him for the Cobra Unit during the last World War. It's pretty interesting.
Pretty intense,
I would say the
man.
least. Yeah.
Sounds painful.
It sounds fucking brutal. Why would you do that to yourself?
Maybe he wasn't
know.
hugged enough as a child.
Oh, he definitely wasn't. Skin like that, I wouldn't even look at him.
All right. What a good father you sound like.
Thank you. Not gonna have kids, sorry to get that out there, everyone. But so I've curated a list as well as far as the members of the unit themselves, where they would fit in as far as if they were part of a unit themselves, the Cobra Unit. So the Pain himself would be infiltration. And that's interesting to say the least, because it does seem, especially the way he handles the gameplay and his boss fight, is very swarm the enemy. Get in any way you can, barricade your way through. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't consider Hornets stealthy. So I like, after going back, like, because we've talked about his boss fight, he is a cheese lord. He's kind of silly. He's a pudgy man that does Mighty Morphin Power Ranger moves, and he's not very difficult as far as a boss fight goes. But when you really think about it, he's not really good at something like a boss fight. He would be good at something of like doing what he does before the boss fight happens, is like ruining the whole Ocelot unit during a boss fight and just distracting everybody while he, gets to his objective. It's pretty cool when you think about it.
Yeah.
How do we feel about the Pain? The Pain.
Tori, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
What do you think the Pain, like what kind of ointment does he have to use? Because he's got to be...
Oh, man.
Is he stung up on the inside, you think? Because the bees do come out of his throat.
It has to be.
Oh, they do. Yeah,
inside.
That's why the raspy voice, right?
Yeah.
The pain.
Maybe
is all inside my body.
Maybe he doesn't even talk, and it's just like he opens his mouth and his voice is just like the bees changing, like
Jesus Christ.
That's some spectacular organism.
Truly on the Fox Engine Pain. Of course we would see that. And
that's
3D
like
sound.
The Fox Engine Pain, directed by Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, to answer your question,
what do you think?
though, I feel like
it's salve? Like a salve?
Yeah,
maybe?
Some combination of like an aloe vera, anti-itch. I imagine. God, it's got to be uncomfortable living in his skin, right? Things get itchy after a while, wouldn't you think?
Well, especially because he's swollen, you would think, right?
Yeah.
From the way he's very bulbousy. He looks like a...
Yeah, so...
He just looks like... Yeah. He just, I don't know. He looks really uncomfortable. And like I said, he's just this like pudgy man in like a tracksuit with like a flak jacket on. I don't know. I don't know. I'm worried about him. I want to, let's hash this out.
Well, he reminds me of
okay.
the Thing from Fantastic Four. That's the Thing I always think of.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. He's not Rock, but he might as well be. Right?
That's what he looks
kind
like.
of concept. Yeah.
You guys know The Land Before Time, right?
I do.
Oh, yeah.
Sharktooth!
This is going to seem like a weird segue,
Yep.
but the way that they animate the cracks in the earth, like in the dirt in that movie, has for whatever reason stayed with me for so long that when I look at the Pain, that is what I envision.
So he looks like the topographical math of a prehistoric Land Before Time animation.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
his skin looks
I
like.
suppose that's fair to say.
Don Bluth, who did that?
The voice actor?
No, the animation studio for Land Before Time. Was that Don Bluth?
That's a good question. I'm looking it up now.
Great question.
Who the fuck?
Let's see.
Outside of us all crying.
I mean, we all know that story about
Littlefoot's
Ducky,
mom,
though, right?
Yep.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, Don Bluth.
Don Bluth.
Good on you, Chris. Good
Nice.
on you.
And
Look at
George
that.
Lucas and Steven Spielberg. So
Yes.
look at that all-star
Yeah.
lineup there on the production side.
And Land Before Time 13 is just as good, guys.
If only,
my
Just
God.
as good.
If only Metal Gear Solid 3 had been made by such a dream team.
Don Bluth.
If only.
Don Bluth could have
But wait a minute. But hold on.
Yeah.
This is your favorite Metal Gear game, right?
So I think it depends on what mood you catch me on. It's either
Oh, man.
Well, not only
Guys,
that, but your favorite
I am-
of this ridiculous series known to be bizarre and not completely...
Yeah.
I am changing this podcast by the episode. I was the weird one for not thinking MGS3 is the best one, and now we're 1.5. Yes. Chris, please explain what mood you must be in for this to be your favorite.
The mood is I replayed the game for the show, and it no longer lives in my nostalgic mind.
So as you play, they all recycle?
Yeah.
So when you get
I feel
back
like
to, you're like,
that's
well,
fair.
Poor Boss was 9th, and then you play it again, you're like, fuck this, it's like 13th again, like, fuck that.
It's like, okay, so I what I did is I was playing 3, and I was like, God. So...
Yeah.
It's so
Especially the
clunky
Fury.
sometimes, and you could see
Yeah.
the painful part
is
is like
clunky.
you could see the desire there, and then over this past weekend I was blowing off some steam, so I booted up Ground Zeroes and like
Nice.
Oh, yeah, dude. Isn't Ground Zeroes just like such a fucking like little sliver of just
if you just want
it's so
a
good.
little taste of Metal Gear, you go like,
Can I
yeah.
have some of those tasty bits? Can you just give me some of the good stuff?
But then
Is that all you're going to
I
give me?
swear, if you want a real trip, just go straight from 3 into Revengeance. That's it. Like, and
Oh
then
my
you'll
God.
and then you'll be like, fuck Kojima. We need more Revengeance. We need Revengeance 2. We need
Revengeance.
We need a cyborg ninja Revengeance.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We
I would love
we don't need this.
that. We are going to get into next season. Will be a little Cyborg Ninja stuff in there.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Gasp.
Oui.
Gasp.
So
What was that?
that's my take on the Pain.
Yeah.
All these minutes later, The Land Before Time, Ground Zeroes.
Welcome to Metal Gear
Revengeance,
Mondays.
Cyborg Ninja. Character episodes, guys. Character episodes. That's why we do this.
Hell yeah.
I like that we get to go on these little tangies.
Sure, yeah.
So the Pain is definitely Cheese Lord henchman, and I gotta say he does share a lot of similarities with our next baby boy, who is
Baby
the
boy.
Fear. Now, I'll consult the ancient texts. Cobra Unit Spider Soldier, the Fear, was appropriately named due to his frightening appearance and abilities. The Fear dislocated limbs at will and enhanced his strange ability to climb rough surfaces like a spider. The dislocation allowed the Fear to leap great distances and to crawl across the ground at lightning fast speeds. A formidable wilderness hunter, the Fear preferred to use a crossbow gun to sting, quote unquote, his opponents with toxic poisons extracted from the world's deadliest insects.
Now, I know we're talking about a game that you already have to suspend your disbelief for quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I've never been of the mind that dislocation would be the reason for the Fear's ability to leap great distances.
Yeah, it's just creepy. And I never until
but
I've read this 70 times.
Yeah.
And I never realized that because of the dislocation is what gives him the ability to do the things I just read, or at least a fraction of those. That
dislocation kind of hinder that a little bit.
It unlocks his potential.
I guess. There must be some
no
secret
idea.
energy stored up in those joints.
This guy is so much cooler because he has cool shit.
He's like a mama bear.
Cool shit.
You know, he becomes more powerful when he senses that his child's in pain, except the pain is him. The fear is the pain.
What? Hold up.
To the fear.
Hang on. You just lost me completely.
You guys got to keep up. You got to keep up.
So first off, I was with you, then I lost you, then I found it. Then I was with you. I'm like, you're right. The pain is the fear, is the pain of the fear.
Yeah.
I feel it. I'm with you.
But
I totally agree. I love it. So his voice is kind of interesting. I like he just sounds like he's just like, you know what it is? He sounds like he's out of breath all the time, and he does run out of stamina like that. Yeah.
Always imagine that he has an Australian accent, but that's because I think he looks like Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile Dundee. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sorry, I'm making this joke for the third time now.
Yeah.
But it's still true.
When we really broke it down last time, it makes sense because you put those pictures side by side, and it's
not bad. He's just missing the hat. I give it to you.
Especially,
it's so frustrating how beautifully rendered this photo you have of the fear, and it's from the fucking pachinko machine.
Oh yeah, look at that carabiner.
So awful.
So that carabiner like got more graphics than the entire character model from the actual
I can
game.
almost read the not for climbing or for climbing that's written on the side. Like it's almost there. If it wasn't so well lit, I bet you I could read.
It's got some shine on it, but you could see the weave and the fabric of his little chest pouch or whatever.
Yeah, guys, whenever you can, just because it is a sight to see, seeing a lot of that Fox Engine stuff for Metal Gear Solid 3 is awesome. Like it just looks
incredible.
So incredibly detailed, and a lot of the stuff that is insinuated in the games because they're just well aware you can't see everything. Something like eye color or hair color really is so much more well defined that I see what they were going for, and it's something you get in the dope ass fucking artwork you get if you buy the guides or look at like cool shit, which I love that stuff. But the fear, he does feel a little henchman-y. Right? He's just another guy that's got cool tools.
He's like the worst thing of the Cobra Unit. It's my take, though.
Whoa.
Oh, do elaborate on that.
I find that he's the most forgettable. I don't like it. The boss fight, it's not really anything unique. And I think I have an idea for how this boss fight could have gone. That would have been really fun and interesting. But instead, you're basically like just in a room, and he has some traps that you can easily get around, and you have to shoot him down from the tree, and that's kind of it.
Feed him poisonous mushrooms so he makes the grossest wet mouth sounds ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 times we could have escaped that, but
nope. Every time I have a chance to bring up wet mouth sounds in Metal Gear games, I will take that opportunity.
Oh yeah, Warren's our very own Colonel Moisture.
Yes. Colonel Moisture himself. Just chewing bananas.
Speaking of ASMR.
He's just a gross boy. But like I said, I don't know. I think when we get to the end of this, maybe I'll have a definitive list per se. But it is a toss-up between him and the Pain. But I think after I just had talked about this, I would probably say the Pain is, as far as his backstory, is a little cooler. I think the Fear has cooler shit. Because he's got the 2 crossbows, he's got the single shot, and he's got like the Tom. What is it? The Tom? Why can't I want to say Tom and Huck, but that is a movie from the '90s starring Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
I never thought this would be brought up in a conversation again.
What was that fucking movie? Jungle to Jungle.
Jungle to Jungle, baby.
Yes.
Shit.
Jungle. The number 2. The number 2 Jungle. Yes.
That movie,
Let's talk about that movie.
That's a
Hang on, let's put Metal Gear
movie.
on the side for a second and take, I don't know, 30 minutes to talk about
Tim
Jungle to
Allen
Jungle.
for a minute. Tim Allen is the fear.
Oh, no.
Arr, 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 arr.
I mean, yeah
Yeah,
basically.
so
Well, I guess
this
either
has
that
got-
or he's, with that bark, he's Bobby from Twin Peaks.
Yeah. Oh, that's not bad. I like that one. But obviously, the fear is super interesting because we got onto Tim Allen based on how great he is. So that he's the Tim Allen of the Cobra Unit. So
And that he's the worst? Yes.
listeners, do what you will with that knowledge.
Is that-
No,
I'll
he's
give him
the worst.
Four,
You take
four
it that
Tim
way.
Allens out of 5.
Not enough plaid.
Correct.
I don't know what to do with that rating. 4 Tim Allens out of 5. It seems to
4
me
Tim
that
Allens out of
5
5.
Tim Allens could be the worst.
5 Tim
Just
Allens is
the number
way-
5.
That's
Just the number 5. I can't tell you what variable Tim Allen's equals, but it's a small number.
it's 5 cocaines.
5 cocaines out
Yeah.
of 6 Tim Allens. Totally agree. Yep. Totally agree. Which, of course, beautiful segue, Tim Allen. We're going to move on to our next baby boy, our old boy, our oldest boy,
Ooh.
the end. Let me get the dust off this. It's just so old, this ancient text.
We need some hymnal music here.
Yeah.
Consult
just like
the holy
deep
text.
Gregorian chants. The end. A veteran of dozens of wars, the End spent most of his latter days in a kind of preventative hibernation, staving off his own natural death until he finally found a battle worthy of his life. A superior marksman and sniper, the End employed camouflage techniques that made him invisible, even in the brightest, the most exposed areas. His sole companion in life was his squawking parrot, which woke the End just in time for battle. As we've played the game, the End is always gonna find his way towards the top of my list, just because, 1, snipers get me, but 2, I just love how, I love the idea of this old ass dude who's seen, like, it seems, I want to know how the boss met the End. Like, that's a story I truly want to know, and we really don't know. We just sort of find out she met him in the 40s, and they kind of hashed it out. But in the 40s, he was like fucking 70.
Wasn't it?
You know what I mean? Like, how did you run into a 70-year-old sniper veteran, you know?
Well, I thought it was that she was looking for someone to teach her how to be a good sniper. And
Well, that's
he's
probably
like
true, because he is like the guy.
yeah, because he's like the best sniper ever.
Right. And he actually doesn't need a spotter, which is common in sniping practice anyway. You always have someone keeping up.
He got parrot baby.
Well, but come on. That's incredible that a squawking parrot who his sole duty is to wake you up from hibernation death for your fights, and then also talk to you, I guess, without saying anything, because we never hear him say, like, 4 knots east, for 1500. Like,
No,
you don't
that's
hear
possible.
any of that, so.
all this, listen, there are weirder things. Birds are.
Oh, yeah, true. That
Birds
bird
are
sneaks
capable
in.
of a lot.
Hey, dude. That dude's like on the other map there. He's going up. Look, up there he is, up the river. Up the river. There he is. Get him.
I mean, from
That's what
my
that's what the
experience
parrot's
of living
doing?
with birds, it would more likely be the parrot would probably just bite him
Oh,
mercilessly until he looked in the right direction.
that's amazing.
Parrots
Which,
live
honestly,
a long time, though, right?
That's believable, though.
So,
That's believable, because the End can just chill.
how
and it's
long
great,
do
yeah.
you think that they've been together? Like, if parrots have a long life, and this dude's like probably the oldest motherfucker to ever live.
Somewhere, if he has the bond with that bird that he seems to, given that, you know, Snake can shoot and kill that bird, and he is sent into a rage.
But none of us did that,
Parrots
right, Chris?
Parrots can live somewhere around an average of like 20-ish years. So
Except
there's
his
a chance that there's
I
a
bet
chance
you
that
his
they've been
parrots-
together for a couple decades.
Yeah, I think they've been around a long time. I argue that when he got his rifle is when he got the parrot. So
what
I
and
think
what makes you
they're
say
at
that?
least, just because it seems like that's been the End for a long time. Like, this has been his sort of character is like he's known as the End officially when it gets to like, I guess his rifle's like a late 1890s model rifle, which apparently isn't a very good one, thanks to our Discord for letting us know that it's a famously not well-made sniper rifle, or at least obviously for the time, maybe it served a simple purpose, but it wasn't something that survived many battles. But obviously, I don't know, he can't die. Maybe he's got, special wood or something on it, but he also retrofitted it to make it, a tranq gun as opposed to a literal rifle. So maybe that alone would be less, damaging on the weapon already because there's no explosion to ignite a bullet with gunpowder or something like that. So, but I argue that they, as soon as he like sort of has his rifle, does his thing, I think the Parrot's been around that long. I would like to say the Parrot lives as long as the End does. Officially. So until the End decides to leave this world, that's when the Parrot does too.
Well, don't we, I guess we do see the Parrot at the river, don't we?
Right.
Because I thought we saw the Parrot fly away at the, in the final cutscene involving the End, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right. I just think it literally like flies to a tree and,
dies.
takes that eternal rest that he's been
explodes
praying
because
for
it's had a microbomb implanted in it.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, yo, that Parrot
See a puff of
definitely
feathers.
had a microbomb in it, just like every other member. That is amazing. Oh yeah, that Parrot definitely had a microbomb, a bird bomb. That's amazing. Yes, it did. I'm in. I'm ready for
It's
that.
canon. You heard it here.
Yeah, Metal Gear Mondays. We're the new canon, baby. Chris, what do you think of the End?
I think the End is probably one of the best characters in the game.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
He's so well developed, and that's probably because he was a hangover of a character that was scrapped from Metal Gear Solid 2. So there was a really long dev time on him. Which I think the name of that character was Old Boy.
Yeah, I think
wow.
that's actually correct.
Yeah.
Which is what a great fucking name too, and a dope reference.
Right. Absolutely. But they made some changes, big changes to the design of the character, I think. I don't know. Feel free to write me some hate mail and correct me. Whatever.
Yeah,
But-
no kidding. Well, I also learned. Oh no! So he upgraded the Mosin Nagant to fire tranq darts after World War II.
Yeah.
So that
Something
gun's only been the
happened.
gun that he's using for 20 years, not 70 or 65. So all right, yeah, maybe it is a 20-year-old bird then. So maybe you're a little more accurate there, Tori. Where I'm thinking, not realism, and then you're bringing facts, and I'm just ignoring what's hard, cold facts in front of me.
Well, you also have to remember that Kojima's playing with facts a lot here.
It's true.
So, I mean, anything that
You mean,
we could
you mean
logic
a woman
away,
didn't give birth on the battlefield of D-Day? I mean, I know I
No,
didn't see
she
that
definitely
in the documentary Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan. I didn't see that in that, but I just figured he just pushed the camera away, from that.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because
You want to
9-month
give
pregnant women are soldiers all the time.
you want to give him a little privacy,
Yeah.
Just find a hut.
They had a little ceasefire area, probably.
Yeah. Definitely no Tim Allens in that
What a
privacy.
strange
Definitely.
plot point. That's such a strange.
Yeah.
She had a baby on a beach in the middle of a fucking war.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I feel
dude.
like it was just convenient, a convenient way to make her birth
But it's-
scene vulnerable
it's not
to
even
having her
where-
child taken.
But it's not where she had it, it's who it is and what they use, how that child is used against her.
Well, yeah, but
It has
okay, so
nothing
wait.
to do with D-Day. Why couldn't she have it in a hospital and she didn't make it to D-Day? Why didn't they just do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Right, because
Kojima.
I guess the philosophers didn't take it from her on D-Day, did they? They didn't take him from her on D-Day.
Just philosophers are also just in their own privacy tent and they just walk out and go, oh yeah, that baby's ours. And then privacy tent.
Yeah, I suppose that's not how I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't know either. We're going to have to hash this out if I'm being honest. Now, the next boy we're going to bring up, and I always want to talk about this. I don't know why. So obviously the fear is the stealth. He's the stealth boy. Obviously the end is the sniper / recon. He's the one scouting you out, doing what you have to do. The next boy that I want to talk about, who I would argue he may take over that spot that we were talking about. Like, I have like a top 3, I guess. And this guy always seems to be at the top of the list as well, is our boy, the Fury. Now, I'll consult it. The texts. An astronaut on secret Soviet rocket missions, the Fury reportedly fought with all the anger and rage he felt regarding the warlike state of the world. Equipping a heavy spacesuit and the most powerful flamethrower ever made, the Fury would unleash his flames of wrath upon his enemies, consuming them in purifying fires he wished would consume the whole world, wiping mankind's slate clean.
Our little emo boy.
I like the Fury a lot. I love. So we were talking about revisionist history. I love that, like, the argument is he's actually the first guy in space, not Yuri Gagarin. Like, that's kind of cool. And then I love the idea of, like, I know they kind of steal it in Daredevil, but the world on fire concept of, like, he was on his way back to reemerging into Earth's atmosphere, and there's so much stuff going on and all the flames that sort of build up around that, and that's what he sort of saw, and he's become obsessed with that. And he, you know, not only is fire like a great visual representation of rage, but I just love I don't know if he's well spoken per se, but he's just his cadence is great. I love his
I think he articulates himself well. Talks.
Yeah, I mean, he does. It's just how he says it, and I love the fact that I love that he's talking and they throw in, like, you know, I guess it's like moon landing stuff, or like, you know, Houston, we have a problem, like that kind of stuff in his own like character introduction. Like, I love the idea of dealing with like diegetic and not diegetic sounds for someone like him. You would think he's introducing himself. Like, I just imagine he had like a Walkman, like being able to play that at some point. I know it's like 20 years before the Walkman was a thing, but he has like some cool ass shit, so why couldn't he have that as well? I fucking love the Fury. He's super cool, and I've always loved fire bats, you know, flame troopers, like that. Just that shit is so cool, and I think it was like a great upgrade to. We joke about it being like a Vulcan Raven style fight, very Pac-Man-y with the design, but I love the design of the boss fight. I love that he can hear you more than he can see you. And he's just so fucking cool. But does he rank super high on everybody else's list here? So, Chris, how do you feel about our angry boy, the Fury?
I like the Fury. He's cool. I hate the fight. Fight is such bullshit.
Yeah, check out that episode, y'all. Chris was not happy with that fight.
Fuck that guy. But you know, I get the Fury because sometimes you just want to see the world burn. You just want to say,
fuck yeah, you do.
Right? I like the character design. I think it's really cool. He's also voiced by Richard Doyle, which is a great voice actor. And I think he does a good job. Solely
from the Uncharted games, too. Richard Doyle's so good.
Yeah. And I love the like subtle David Bowie vibe. That you get from the Fury as well.
Yeah, Mission Control. He's so good. So what about you, Tori? Outside of him, all the stuff we at least like, your little emo boy. How do you feel about the Fury?
Well, I just talking about the world burn and having so much anger. It really reminds me of my phase in high school where I would only listen to Tool. Specifically Enema, the album Enema, because that one is probably the angriest. I think that maybe it's not the angriest, but the song Enema certainly comes to mind here because that's its whole vibe. Burn the world down. I think it's interesting, Warren, that you brought up the crash, not crash landing, but coming into orbit and seeing the flames around him and what effect that had on him. Because if I recall correctly, the boss had a similar experience on her return to Earth's atmosphere, and she didn't have that viewpoint. So, like, in a lot of ways, I feel like the Fury potentially has the closest mindset of anyone as to what the boss's will was, or I suppose what her frame of mind was when coming back to Earth's orbit, or leaving Earth's orbit more specifically, and seeing that, you know, the world is just one globe full of humans and all of these divisions are kind of pointless. I think the Fury gets that to an extent, but he takes a very angry approach to it, where the boss seems to have more of a hopeful mentality towards it, I suppose, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Plus, he's the only one to mention the sorrow at all, besides the boss, of all the Cobras.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Fury is just really interesting to me because it's like you said, it's the same but reverse, where they did have that shared experience, but they had a very different reaction to it, you know?
Right.
I do wish that he was more in the game, because it almost feels like he's a secret character in the way that he's just like lurking in his cave, and that's the only place we see him ever.
Right. We don't see him at the beginning, or I guess the end of the Virtuous mission, do we? When they're all on the bridge.
I don't believe so. No, I only remember seeing the fear and the pain and the end.
And the end, yeah. I think that's the first time I'm really making that connection. That, yeah, you're right. He's like a well-kept secret,
hidden boss.
And his time is so short with the game, because he's got a very short intro, short but sweet. I think he really gets to the point with his monologuing. And afterwards, you know, he just kind of has his non sequiturs from our point of view. Obviously, he's uttering lines that make a lot of sense to him and his experiences, but to us, it just looks like he's kind of spinning out and about to explode as a microbomb. But yeah, I feel like I agree with that. I feel like we could have had more time with the Fury to get to know him as a character, or maybe, you know, maybe he wasn't any more written out or planned out than that.
Yeah, I mean that could be true. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Fury is a mystery.
Yeah,
and that may be how we just have to leave that off.
Yeah, that's fair. Chris, I see in your notes that this must have been updated recently, or maybe I just missed it the first time around. Burn It All Down 2020.
Yeah.
This feels very close to home. Do you want to take a minute to revel in that?
Yeah, sure.
And that feeling?
We just have, like, you know, the Cobra Unit, and I think the Fury just expresses his rage in a very direct way, right? Especially in 2020, because all of us are kind of feeling that rage, and some of us are, you know, acting on it in a very physical and outward way. So
sure,
it is something that we can identify with, and, you know.
Man, where's the boss when we need her?
Right.
Where's she at? Or I guess this is the time that Big Boss has decided to walk away from his post. So we should be on the lookout for Punished Snake, Venom Snake, in the near future, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
So the Fury took over me.
So that's the Fury.
Yeah, the Fury took over me. So catch me up, guys. God, man, this is the worst year ever. All right, so
yeah, man.
Shit happens.
Let's
for listeners, we just want to point out that we were recording this episode and Google crashed all of it.
Yes.
So we hopped on a different platform and now we're
back up.
Yeah.
We're doing it. Thank you, Discord, if we're allowed to say that.
Yeah. So what feels like
Discord
I'll
sponsor us.
yeah. So what felt like seconds to you was 7.5 years for me, is what it felt like.
We've
so-
been doing this for years.
man. Oh my goodness.
Were you in the hyperbolic time chamber?
Yeah, man. I've
Oh,
been
shit.
training. I've been training, man. All right. So let's do this. Let's do some fun stuff here. All right. So I want to move on to another one of my favorite characters. I actually have a great time, especially this most recent playthrough. I never got a chance to really talk about him very much to others. And we can talk about Ghost Dad, the Sorrow. Consulting the texts, a former Cobra Unit spirit medium soldier, the Sorrow could evidently speak to dead men on the battlefield to determine enemy positions and armaments. His tap into the spirit world also provided him a means to see slightly into the future and read the minds of his interrogation subjects. However, the Sorrow was reportedly killed years before Operation Snake Eater. Therefore, there is no way he could have been a part of the boss's defection in the Gru uprising. Could he? I like that one.
Question
Or could
mark?
he?
So the Sorrow is dope. His boss fight is, as far as design, is very interesting, very cool. I love the idea of what it represents. Sometimes it's a little clunky as far as the, you're not really fighting, you're just sort of trekking through a river. But the something we've mentioned a lot in Metal Gear Solid 3 is there are definite lulls to sort of let you contemplate what you've just played through. And the Sorrow's boss fight and his design and everything about him is definitely like the epitome. Like he's almost a personification of basically understanding what decisions you've made. He is like the literal embodiment of your choices. And
Yeah.
the Sorrow is interesting because, again, so that's what makes the Fury so cool, because the Fury brings up the Sorrow. Nobody does except for the boss and the Fury. So I love that they sort of, I don't know, I just love the camaraderie that they have. And his camo is cool as shit. He's got some dope ass, like he cries blood. I don't know. I like the Sorrow a lot. Outside of being Ocelot's dad, holy shit. What do you guys have to say about our Ghost Dad?
Well, I wrote a poem.
Yes, I was gonna throw to you if you didn't start off with this.
So it goes, man, I'm sad. This guy was a dad. I killed lots of lads. Now Ghost Dad thinks I'm bad because killing makes him mad when I think he's really rad.
Ugh.
I'm so proud of you. That's really good, Chris. That's gonna go on my my tombstone.
I'm just
I
trying
wish
to
we were
speak
all
my truth,
Wearing
Yeah.
turtlenecks and berets and sipping coffee right now.
Yeah, we were all Steve Jobs.
And my truth is that I had to wade through like 230 something bodies.
Yeah, dude, it was a
During this boss
large
fight.
number. Oh my god, it was a big.
Oh man.
Number
So
there.
yeah, you have Warren who has next to nobody.
Yeah, I had 4 bodies and the bosses, and
You
that's
have
it.
me with maybe a few more than that because shit happens when you're holding a guard up.
Oh yeah,
And then you have Chris who just cannot move an inch without getting the soul sucking.
I love it.
You with your mouth sounds. I should have known that was an opening. Damn me.
So yeah, I don't know. He's super cool. Like I love the fact that I guess he's a medium, right? So what a fucking awesome advantage to have on the battlefield. You touch a dead
Right.
guy and you know like his secrets, or at least you can learn some dope shit about that. Like that would have been an awesome. Imagine a detective that could just touch the body and be like, I know where the killer is.
What? Is that the dead zone?
The Dead Zone.
Or-
That's exactly what it is. I think it's
The
the Dead
Dead
Zone.
Zo-
Yeah, right? It's called the Dead Zone, right? That had Christopher Walken in it?
I don't know, or maybe it was
Yeah.
Psych, where he like pretends to be the psychic.
Well, Psych
know?
is the comedic version of that, whereas I think the
Right.
Dead Zone's the scary version of that, which is probably
Right.
more adjacent to the Sorrow because he's just
You guys know your TV dramas. I'm so proud.
yeah. I don't know. I like
Thank
him,
you, Tori.
and he's got. Yeah, I guess that's a compliment because we know TV dramas because that's something I want to be proud of.
It was followed up with "I'm so
Ooh.
proud." So
That's
yeah,
true.
I'll,
Yeah, I guess
I'll
you're
tell
right.
you, I've been watching some good TV dramas lately.
Yeah, maybe
Like
we'll talk
Raised
about
by
them.
Wolves.
Ooh, I have not watched that one yet. Maybe we'll talk about that on PC.
Yeah,
I could definitely be down
Oh,
to
yeah.
watch an episode or a season of TV to talk about it. So let us know.
hey, that sounds like
Yeah,
great
patrons.
homework to have.
Yeah, patrons, chime in with. Try to think. I would like to do something current because, like, obviously we could all be told to watch the best show from like '95 or whatever. But if like Raised by Wolves or like Lovecraft Country or The Boys or something, if that's something that's like kind of new, and Raised by Wolves is the one I haven't seen, so that would probably be my most interested to look up. But yeah, let us know, y'all, if you want to like get in on that. I'd be down for that.
I got one in my back pocket if nobody does.
Love it.
Just saying.
I think I know what it is.
Do you?
Down.
Did he touch your dead body, and that's how he knew?
Oh God.
Yeah, sorry.
This
Little-
turns to
The sorrow is
So
a
taken
weird
over.
place.
The sorrow has taken over. I am Artex in the swamps of sadness. I am gone. I am a conduit.
I think, the Sorrow is a really nice character. I think overall he's really well developed into the story.
Yeah, I think
As
he's.
well,
I think he's executed
in the lore.
pretty well as well, in my opinion. I mean, we may disagree on that.
Yeah, and I love that he's kind of optional in the way of like if you've been doing the first person scenes, you will have seen him at several points,
Yeah.
and like there's a lot of foreshadowing and building up.
He is
But,
ever present.
Yes,
Yeah.
and very very interesting moments in the game where he's watching, but yeah, overall I think the Sorrow is probably, I would say, my third favorite fight in the game.
Mm.
It's a good fight.
How
let me
many
tell you.
how many
Yeah.
Tim Allens would you rank it?
I don't
I'm
think
gonna-
that's a fair ranking system, Visaro.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna rank him by Tim Allen's.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, I'm not requiring you to. I'm just curious.
I am going to give the Sorrow 5 Macaulay Culkins out
Ooh.
of
It's a good start.
a pepperoni pizza.
Oh,
All right.
good finish too.
So
Nice.
like getting even with Dad Macaulay Culkin or like my girl Macaulay Culkin?
Have you ever seen the movie Saved?
I have
I
seen
was
the
just
movie
hoping you weren't
Saved.
going to say the good son.
Yeah, the good
Yeah,
son's like
no,
I
no.
guess the bad version.
Yeah. I would say the Saved version of Macaulay.
Okay. It's pretty. Just to let you know, Sarah, that's a really good
Are you
ranking.
talking about the movie with what's her name? Fucking Mandy Moore.
I don't think she was in that. Maybe she was.
What movie are you
Saved?
talking
I mean,
about?
yeah, like from 2004. There's definitely a movie called Saved
Yeah.
that has Mandy Moore in it about, yeah. I think he's in that, isn't he?
Oh, that is Mandy Moore. Wow.
Oh shoot!
Yeah.
I'm
he's
sad
totally-
that I. Yeah, I'm sad that I made that connection.
It's also got Michael Stipe in it. What?
Yeah, you didn't know Michael Stipe was in that?
No.
Tune in for the Saved podcast.
No,
Getting saved with MGMR. I'm ready. All
I
right.
don't think so.
So the opposite of saved. We're gonna get to the piece of shit
American
himself.
Eagle High School.
This episode.
God. That's
That's
so
what happens when you record an episode 3 times.
2004.
Yeah. Colonel
Moisture?
Volgin. Colonel Moisture
Uh,
Volgin. The moisture man himself.
No, see, we've gotten to the point where I don't know which in jokes the audience is actually in on and which ones we just.
Well, Colonel Moisture has been around for a long time.
Okay.
I know about
that
Colonel
was.
Moisture.
I think that was one of my bad Russian translations.
Yes.
From,
Yeah.
Agreed.
No, that
Virtuous
was-
Mission.
Yeah, no, I think that would be probably the ultimate bad translation. Something nobody needs to hear, really. And yet here we are.
Yep.
Episode
Let's dedicate
7.
2 more minutes to Colonel Moisture. So, Colonel and commander of the Russian GRU, which led an uprising against Khrushchev in the early 60s. Volgin bore the codename Thunderbolt due to his reported ability to channel and control electric energy. We learned it's like 1 million volts. It's some bananas number, 10 million volts. Volgin built and presided over the impenetrable fortress Groznygrad, named for Ivan Grozny or Ivan the Terrible. The Shagohod weapons system was allegedly being developed inside his fortress when Dr. Sokolov attempted to defect. As a result, Volgin tightened security on all scientific staff, meaning that any who attempted to escape were killed. Volgin's penchant for sadism knew no boundaries. His favorite method of dispatching unfortunate personnel he deemed traitorous or expendable was to beat them into a bloody pulp with his fists. A powerful and beastly man, Volgin often uttered the Japanese phrase kuwabara, kuwabara, before or after performing psychotic, vicious acts of cruelty. There is no exact translation in the English language for this phrase, but in Volgin's usage, he most likely meant to say, the horror, perhaps promising death and destruction to his enemies.
Interesting how that differs from what we had decided upon towards the beginning of the season, I think. Because we definitely had an explanation for kuwabara. Did we not?
My understanding was it was like mulberry. So,
Yeah.
because
because that type of tree wards off lightning. right?
allegedly, yeah, like if you, mulberry tree would never be struck by lightning, which don't do that, anybody. Like we're not promising anything about the safety of mulberry trees, but I think the thing, it's very interesting that I like
Taller
the
than you,
horror
at least.
better, actually.
My great uncle was struck by lightning.
Really? So your great uncle was not standing
And now
under
he is a
mulberry
mulberry tree.
for sure.
He was standing under a tree and got struck by lightning.
Oh,
Well, now he's
no.
dead because he was old. but-
Well, sorry to laugh at
that's
that. It's
correct.
just not what I expected you to say next.
It was not the content, it was the delivery.
he was old, but Metal Gear Mondays officially has a stance of do not stand under a tree in a lightning storm.
Yeah,
for
You
sure.
will get struck by lightning. Do not do it.
Our legal team
So,
has absolutely stepped in
kids-
on that. Absolutely.
Yes, this is the law speaking.
I'm the law in these parts. And I say don't get yourself struck by lightning.
Jesus.
Well, so Volgin
Editatory. Cut that tomorrow.
should take his own advice.
So Yevgeny Borasovich Volgin. Just a real son of a bitch, if I were to be picky. Now, what makes him so interesting is, first off, he's like how we've talked about how the boss is like the last living child of the philosophers, right? She was like the last of the philosophers, technically, if we say genetically. Volgin was also one of the last because his father was sort of the treasurer of the philosophers. He fucked with their money. He's dead now, and he like was the legendary commander of the Red Army. His dad was, which was oh boy, what is his dad's shitty name? Is it just Boris Volgin, right? Boris Volgin was his father, who was in Stalin's
would
Red
be.
Army. He fucked with the money.
I think it was Randall.
Jeff Volgin.
Randall Jeff Volgin. He's got a mullet.
Jeff Andrew.
A mullet, Jesus.
Like he rides. He does NASCAR.
Yeah.
Who does it?
Randall Jeff Volgin, old daddy Volgin, is somehow in charge of the money. So that's like the MacGuffin in the game, right? And this is how like Volgin gets tied to it. And I think it's funny though, because in the game he says that he's backing the Brezhnev faction.
Right. Yes,
Mhm.
that is what he says.
And Brezhnev is like just known for being a doddering old man. You know, he was.
What do you
he was
mean by
all,
that? Explain
Well,
that further.
So when Brezhnev came to power, he was seen as like being out of touch. Like so there are these jokes in Soviet Russia, and for example, the one about Brezhnev was that Brezhnev is sitting in his office at the the Kremlin, and someone knocks at the door, and Brezhnev stands up from his desk and puts his glasses on and pulls out a note card from his shirt pocket and clears his throat. Come in.
Old
And
man
it's like a
Brezhnev.
joke that he would, because when he would give speeches, he would always read from note cards.
Yeah.
You know,
Prime
things like
example
that.
is
And
someone
also-
you'd want to like take over, though. But yeah, he could be part of the
Yeah.
Brezhnev faction because he can do whatever he wants. Because Brezhnev
And
can't
he-
keep up anyway.
he gave himself a lot of awards. He was very self-congratulatory too.
Wow, that sounds familiar.
Yeah,
Quote
does
unquote?
it?
Question mark?
Familiar? Question mark? I
Yeah.
don't know. Vaguely familiar somehow.
Interesting.
So I can see why Volgin would like this guy.
Yeah.
But it seems like Volgin was just, his dreams were bigger than Russia. But unfortunately for him, that kind of all burns to a cinder real quick.
Well, and I found on this playthrough, it's unfortunate for him, but it's also largely because of him. There's a key moment that I picked up on in one of the cutscenes, and I think we've covered this in game at this point, right? We've basically made it through the end of the game. There have been many moments, and maybe I'm saying this because I've played through this game several times, but there have been many moments where Volgin, if he really is as ruthless of a man as he sort of claims himself to be, would have mistrusted the boss, should have mistrusted the boss, and yet he still hands the philosophy over to her in the end, even after she's displayed on a couple of occasions reasons for him to hesitate in trusting her.
Yeah, well, you don't fuck with the boss.
Yeah.
That's
true.
the one person that he is afraid of. Is the
That's
boss.
true,
Which
I guess.
love
It's just,
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
He's
just,
so badass.
I don't know. It was something I noticed while watching the scenes at the weapons lab. After I think it's just before you're about to fight Volgin, right? And he not only monologues here, he gives the whole story behind the philosophers, so that we waste a good amount of time before their fight. And then he hands the philosopher's legacy chip over to the boss, as we see. I'm probably just beating a dead horse at this point, but it just seemed like a bad decision at that point. Seems like something that the great Colonel Volgin should have sidestepped easily.
I think he's just like drunk with power kind of a person, and he was very like, even like Granin, when we meet him, like Granin technically has the superior design for what Volgin wants. It's just not fast enough, or it's not, like he wants results. He wants the baby with no labor pains, right? He doesn't care about any of it. So he just moves to the next thing. So I could just see him just being sort of dumb and just being like, whatever gets me the satisfaction now, and then just keeps making that decision over and over and over again to eventually lead
Here's
into
a
this.
question I have now that we're talking about this. Is Volgin aware that the boss is a daughter of the philosophers? That she is,
No,
I guess,
I don't think he knows that.
for all intents and purposes, a philosopher?
I don't think he knows
Okay.
that. I mean, I can't imagine he does, because he was so confident to talk about the philosopher's legacy, and she didn't know about,
Right.
like, she didn't know enough about it, I guess. Like, he was saying it as if she didn't know. And I feel like if he knew she was a philosopher,
Okay.
if that makes sense. I know it wasn't for her, like the exposition was for us and for Snake. But you know, I could see how that's, I don't know, it's very interesting. There's a lot of that do they know, don't they know in Metal Gear Solid 3, which I guess is compelling in a sense, because there is so much of like...
Might be pointless to ask, though.
Yeah, there's no real gain, especially because even though he will meet his end in this game, we do meet Volgin yet again in a different game. In physical form, not even... not even like through spirit or whatever. But yeah, he's just a giant dude with 10 million volts. He can punch the shit out of you. He is brutal as fuck, and he's just an asshole. But he's very one-dimensional, but I think it works in the game. Like, you need just he feels like the henchman, but he's supposed to be the big bad, which clearly he's not the big bad. It's the boss. But as far as where he's concerned, you would think... that he's very one-dimensional. I don't understand. And he also, again, like, he's just so gross. Like, he just treats everyone like shit. And we learn that we can't really say what he's into as far as his sexual orientation, because he treats women and men like shit, both platonically and sexually, because we can sort of rope in Major Ivan Raidenovich Raikov, who you get to play as. And we'll actually talk a little bit more about him in our next season in Portable Ops. Not so much, but we actually learn a lot more about him as far as what he did, other than he's too big for his britches, as far as he's only there because he's like Volgin's like love slave, I guess. So he has access to places he really shouldn't have access to because of that. So we double as him to get in, and there's like a weird crotch grab moment for you as the player. But yeah, catch me up. So what do we want to do on Volgin and Raidenovich Raikov? So obviously Raidenovich is son of Raiden, which I do appreciate that. So that's clever. Any chance they get to throw Raiden in a game, they do. But yeah, how do we feel about all of this stuff here? Like our quote unquote big bad and his little right hand bottom bitch.
I don't know. I mean, it's so weird, the relationship aspect of like Raikov and Volgin. It's pretty, like, I think obviously not PC for a modern audience, and was probably pushing like some weird boundaries back when it came out.
Yeah.
For America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for Japan, this maybe is a little more understandable. I guess. I
kind of feel like it was born out of the teaser of like Metal Gear Solid 2, and you ended up playing as Raiden, and
right.
A lot of people, guys that I was friends with when that game came out, they're like, "Oh, Raiden's gay," or whatever, and then they made this character that looks just like Raiden and is gay
as a joke, I guess, like poking fun at the response. But
the director's commentary says that Raidenovich is supposed to be like Lightning Bolt's bitch.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a good point, Chris, because this isn't the first time that Kojima has directed his response to his audience into his creation. Right? I'm talking about Scott Dolph most specifically.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I don't know So I don't know where like Raikov comes from, but I did some like digging on the internet as far as his name goes. And the Raikov effect seems to be this big scam that says you can instantly gain any kind of skill you desire under hypnosis simply by pretending to be the person who has that skill. So that's pretty interesting, I guess, considering that you pretend to be Raiden, or excuse me, Raikov in the game. But yeah, he's real mean. He is in Portable Ops, but kind of as a footnote or a side thing. But he's got some cute panties. I will say that.
Yeah,
he's
a good-looking boy. He is a good-looking boy.
Chris, I want to go back to what you were saying real quick about the pretending. So we're pretending to be Raikov, right? What skill do we gain out of that? Or if not skill, just what advantage do we gain out of that in this game? We've kind of broken it down already, but just...
Are you asking me what skill you get?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, per that description that you gave us.
Oh, right. Well, I guess you can beat the crap out of the soldiers in the weapons lab and they won't second guess you.
Right, exactly. So it's authority, right?
Yeah. Right.
And Eva has a little bit of commentary about this too, a little bit of a codec conversation.
Okay, your Raikov disguise is complete. Now they won't stop you no matter what you do.
Even if I punch someone in the face?
Right.
Really?
Really.
Why?
Raikov's just that kind of guy.
As Chris was saying, you can go up to anybody and even punch them and not raise alert because, quote unquote, that's just the kind of guy he was.
Yeah, what a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
What a jerk.
Yeah, definitely. Well, if we don't have any last words, guys, that is sort of our little baddies and or daddies wrap up for this particular episode.
Maybe even both of those things, depending on who we're talking about.
Good point.
So, yeah, guys, so that will do it for another episode of Metal Gear Mondays Revengeance. We appreciate you guys giving us a listen wherever you do listen. If you could rate and review us, that would be incredibly helpful. It does go a long way as far as the algorithm is concerned. If you want to talk to previous hosts, you can find their contacts at metalgearmondays.com. If you want to get us on Facebook and Instagram, we're at Metal Gear Mondays. Twitter, we're at Metal Gear Monday. I will shout out to Patreon. Again, for just $1 a month, you have access to the Discord. We're doing some really cool shit in there. Monthly game club. Talking some anime right now. Talking a lot of stuff. It's a really awesome community. And we'd appreciate if you have the time and the money. You could always chime in. Again, $1 a month. We do have other rewards as you move through with show notes, extra podcasts, some merch. Allegedly free merch through Patreon if you stay a certain member of a Patreon for a certain amount of time. So we're just trying to find ways to justify, funding us, because we do our best to give you as quality as we can, regardless of technology literally fighting against us. We will strive and move forward. Chris, where can people find you on the internet?
Nowhere, not know how, not anyway.
Shuts a very small door over a giant iron door in his own room.
Not even on a train.
Nobody sees the wizard, you see? Let's see. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Hampton II. That's Chris Hampton II. And just pop on the Discord, say hi. Or, I'm looking for some people to play some Destiny with. So if you want to play some Destiny on the Xbox, hit me up.
Is that which generation of Xbox is the furthest back that Destiny goes?
Oh, I think that you gotta get the new one, the one that's out now, not the one that's coming out.
Gotcha. Okay.
There's so many names, but the Xbox One.
Okay.
Yes. Xbox
Good
One.
to know.
Or the PS4.
Oh, okay. Now we're talking.
Tori, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me at Young Neil. That's YNGNEIL. On Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Facebook under my name. You can find me mostly on Facebook under the Metal Gear Mondays page. That's about the only action I'm giving there. So yes, and on the Discord. I'm trying to make an effort to be more available across social media. So hit me up, tag me, give me your thoughts. I'd love to interact with you, as I know the other boys would. But talk to us. We'd love and welcome the conversations.
Hell yeah!
And you can find me at Warren Minix on all of the appropriate social medias. I don't really use it all that much, but I try. I am at Untaggable Gamer. If you're into gamer tags, again, I don't get tagged much in things. I'm a single player game guy.
Yeah, you are.
I am in a band, Spooky Forest. You can find us at Spooky Forest Band on all the channels. We have an album on Spotify. I'd really appreciate a listen and some feedback, and I appreciate everybody who has thus far. This completes another episode of Metal Gear Monday's Revengeance, and unless you guys stop me, I think it's time to let her rip, Jack.